Hey everyone, it's Jackson again from the Popcorn Review Podcast, and today is going to be the Raw After Mania, my episode 18 here. This episode actually had a lot going on, so I'm going to try to get through it here. You did have the show start off with John Cena, very anticipated. Everybody was looking forward to see who's going to be the first person. It was actually John Cena. He walks to the ring, and he pretty much just tells the fans that, again, talking down to him. And then from there, he kind of shows that he at the Tritantron or the board says, "Hey, there's 36 dates left, or that's how many dates I've had," and then starts naming the ones that he did, and gets down to 27. And he was like, "And that's just dates. I technically don't have to wrestle." So pretty much saying he's gonna hold the belt hostage, or hold it from people. Um, Kept talking, talking shit there, and then you see him hold the belt over his head there with one arm, and creeping behind his back out of nowhere, Randy Orton, like I mentioned in previous episode, would be the one to hopefully take the title away from Cena. Made a lot of sense. They had a lot of things going on. He gives, RKO out of nowhere, holds the belt over his head now, and then places it over his stomach there. So it makes a lot of sense. Like I mentioned before, Randy Orton would be a good person to take the title from Cena, or at least have a good feud before Cena leaves. Um, they did show the poster for Backlash before Mania, if I'm not mistaken. So it makes a lot of sense there. Randy Orton kind of laughs it off and gets out of there. Everybody cheering for him. You did have a match, almost like a WrestleMania rematch or replay, whatever you want to call it. You had Liv Morgan and Raquel versus you had Lyra and Becky Lynch. Um, it was a decent match there. Everybody looked pretty strong there, but the Judgment Day did end up squeaking that one out, cheating to get the win. So kind of stupid, to be honest with you, that they made them lose the title for less than 24 hours and then lost it on Raw. But it is what it is. That's the plans they had. They used this to turn Becky Lynch heel. I was actually thinking that it was going to be Bayley to turn heel, but it's actually Becky Lynch who ended up turning heel, kind of knocking Lyra out. And she was kind of in shock on the ground the entire time. She's getting beat down, and she's just more in shock that one of her mentors or her favorite wrestler, is the one who's doing this to her. So it looks like she's actually gonna probably lean on Bayley for help or support. So you will see them two go down the ring or go down the line later on and wrestle. Um, you did have you had a few things going on here. You had the New Day come out and kind of celebrate. Had Kofi Kingston in his pink shoes and his pink, I guess, fur coat, whatever you want to call it, even though they're in Vegas and I'm pretty sure it's 80 degrees and up, but it is what it is. Came to the ring just saying that, you guys are going to say thank God for the New Day. And you had the Alpha Academy kind of come out. Maxine was talking, saying, "Hey, we beat you guys before within 60 seconds. How about we run it back for those titles? And don't be a 60-second men to the two of them." And then Kofi kind of looking upset. "Hey, we're not 60-minute men, 60 seconds men. We'll run it right here." Even though they were in street clothes, they were saying they were willing to take it. And then out of nowhere, Rusev music hits. He kind of comes down to the ring charging. The New Day kind of rolls out. Alpha Academy was left in there. He took out Tozawa, took out Otis, and you kind of saw Maxine Dupree kind of like in shock what was going on. I liked Rusev in WWE, liked him in AEW. Hopefully they have more an aggressive stance for Rusev here in WWE now. I will say it's kind of crazy how they have Rusev kind of squashing a tag team. Kind of not. I feel like the Alpha Academy is kind of like they're a comedy act. If anything, they're being used similar to what Rey Mysterio was being used before. Last year, just using to put people over. I mean, Rusev could have came in there and wrestled anybody or taken out anybody. Didn't have to be a specific tag teams because if anything, he was going to take out all four of them. The Judgment Day after that did have a segment. You kind of saw Liv, Raquel, and Dom and Carlito all celebrating that Dom's a champion. Um, Knew that Dom was going to win it. I did go 50-50 on Dom or Braun, but it played out exactly what I said with Dom's story. excuse me, with Dom Story, and you did have him pin Finn. Pin looked very upset when he was meeting with them. He looked a little off standoffish, if anything. They did say they were going to have a match later on, which ended up happening. We'll go into that a little bit later, but it did show that Finn was kind of standoffish and kind of pissed off at the scenario, what happened. He did congratulate Dom, but it was kind of like a BS move. Like, yeah, congratulations. But like I said, Finn Balor is not going to be part of that group for very long. I see them kicking him out, and it's going to be Dom and Liv kind of in charge in that group. Io Sky did come to the ring. She did say that that was, even though she has trouble with English, she was saying that that was her best moment ever. That was her best part of her career, that she had that match against Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. You know, she was very happy and kind of emotional, but again, it's kind of hard for her to speak in English. So she was doing English and speaking in her native tongue. So it's nice to see that WWE is allowing that. I know in the past they haven't. Um, but then you see Music Hits and Stephanie Vakir, the NXT Women's Champion, coming out looking nice in all blue. She did say that she was giving Io Sky her props, her flowers. You know that she respects her, but she's here to wrestle the best, and she wants to wrestle the best. So they had a friendly match going there. It was actually an amazing match, guys. These girls were doing crazy moves to each other. You know, Io Sky is crazy off the top rope. It was just an all around great match. They had great chemistry together. I hope I can see this down the line, maybe for titles or for someone's title, maybe down the line. Not sure where WWE wants to go out with these two, but it was a great match to see. It did get interrupted with Roxanne from NXT because, especially Stephanie Bakir does have to wrestle Roxanne later on for tomorrow on NXT. So it was like two NXT women jumped in there. And then out of nowhere, Mommy's Music hits. She runs down to the ring, kind of saves them. They kind of dip off. She did like interact with Roxanne a little bit. The other one was just kind of like standoffish and just rolled out of the ring. So you saw those two girls kind of like backing out there. But then you see Rhea Ripley grab the title, hands it to Io Sky, but pretty much saying that I'm still coming for you. That I helped you out this time, but I'm still coming for you. I still want my title back. So it was nice to see that, you know, Rhea Ripley's there to do the right thing. Everyone thought she was going to turn heel. So I'm happy that she's not heel because we've seen that and she's done that already. So let's move on and see what we can do from there. You did have Jay Uso there. Jay Uso came out partying with the team or partying with the whole crowd. You know, he was a very emotional in this segment. You can say that you can definitely tell that he was holding back during the IC title when he won that. He was very emotional as well. This one, he kept the shades on. He was very emotional, saying that people thought he couldn't do it, but he's here now. Saying that he's in your city, you know, doing his old thing, his old gimmick, you know, just letting the crowd love him. You know, the crowd kept saying one more time. So he looked at the back and he said, let's run it back. They did his music again. Everybody yeeted in there. Um, First person to come out was or person that came out was Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn came to the ring, celebrated with Jay, saying that, you know, you deserved it. Even Sammy was looking very emotional. You know, they're really good friends. You know, they were part of the OG bloodline, that storyline. So you can definitely see that they have a friendship outside of wrestling. Sami Zayn was very emotional. He was saying that, hey, I didn't even want to come to Vegas because I was missing WrestleMania. There was no purpose for me to be here, but I wanted to make sure that I was the first person to tell you congratulations and you deserve it. And you saw Sammy's eyes like, you know, bloodshot almost from holding back tears. They both celebrated. They went and they yeeted again, you know, had the song playing. For a minute there, it looked like Sami Zayn was going to turn on Jay because they were celebrating the two corners. Sami Zayn got off first and then looked at Jay's back, almost as if he was going to turn heel or possibly take him out, but that wasn't the case, at least not yet. Um, so you did see that there. I don't know who's going to be the first person to go after the title with Jay, but it could be Sammy. Maybe Sammy could be jealous for not getting a title shot or getting a chance to be at WrestleMania. So we'll see how that plays out. But you did see Jay later on come through, or Jimmy actually. And then the three of them were in the ring just celebrating, you know, high fiving each other, hugging it out. You can definitely see the emotion in everybody there. Everybody was happy for Jay. I've mentioned in previous episodes that I wanted Jay to win. Don't know how long his title run's going to be, but Jay deserves that chance to show that he is the man to put Raw on his back. And we're going in that right direction. You do have later on, you had Gunther bitching and moaning that he was, at Michael Cole and Pat McAfee there, complaining, like, oh, like, what were you saying last night? What were you saying last night? Trying to take over and beat down on the commentator. So you did see Gunther grab Michael Cole, slapped off his glasses, ripped off his headgear, and you saw Pat McAfee protect his colleague there, took a swing at him. Security got in the way. Pat McAfee turned around and you saw Gunther grab him and choked him out. Pat McAfee's face turned completely like blue and red. Not sure if he was holding his breath or maybe he had the hold on too tight. For a moment there, you did see that his guys from his podcast show on ESPN jumped out over the barricade. And for a while, security was kind of holding them back. Don't know if that was part of the show or maybe his guys thought that it was real, but you definitely saw his guys jump over the ring, over the barricade and try to protect him. You did see Adam Pearce kind of tell him like, hey, you know, to Michael Cole, hey, we're gonna worry about him. Just you take the day off. Don't worry about it. We'll got somebody to cover you. Michael Cole's like, no, this is my job. I'm not gonna let anybody try to deter me from doing my job. This is my job to commentate. The wrestlers have just gotta deal with it, and we got to make sure that we can hold these guys accountable. Um, from there, you did have Dom's IC championship first defense against Penta, almost like another, excuse me, almost like another rematch from WrestleMania, but just the two of them. Like I always said, I like Penta's entrance, I like Penta's ring gear. I will say that you did have Dom trying to be like the heel, trying to tell his guys Carlito and Finn like, "Hey, go ahead, take him out." And Finn was kind of hesitating the whole match. He wasn't getting involved. He was kind of letting us see how it was going to play out. Carlito got involved, but every time Finn got involved, he either got in the way, pushed Dom, or didn't do anything at all. So you definitely saw it. You're definitely seeing more and more that Finn is breaking himself away from the group. But out of nowhere, JD comes back, helps Dom win it, secures a championship. JD's celebrating with everybody. The guys walk back towards like the aisle, and he's celebrating with Liv. He's celebrating with Raquel. He's celebrating with Carlito. And JD's like, yeah, guys, I'm back, celebrating. And you kind of look at Finn, like looking at him like, what the hell's going on? Like, he didn't even know that he was going to be here. So they're not even telling Finn that the guy that he brought into the Judgment Day is back. But JD's like, yeah, man, I'm back. Come on, man. What are you doing? Like, even JD looking at him like, yo, what's the deal? Like, just with his eyes, like, yo, what's the deal? Come on. Like, this the group. And they were all like celebrating and everybody was chilling. But that wasn't the case. Finn Balor was still like in front of him, but he's like hesitating to be in that group. Like I mentioned, this is going to start a big feud between them. Maybe it's going to be building up to Backlash or SummerSlam. Finn Balor trying to get the IC title back, but we'll see how that goes. Definitely nice to see, guys. Like I said, this WrestleMania after Raw, or the Raw after WrestleMania, was a great show. The biggest thing was we were waiting to see what was going to happen with Seth and Paul Heyman. We did see them at the beginning of the day, but we didn't see anything from them. No interaction, nothing. So music finally hits. Burn it down. They walk down to the ring. You do see that they're talking there. They're saying they're going over like what happened at WrestleMania. They had a plan. You do see that Paul Heyman saying that, or starts getting into it, saying that, hey, he's the Seth Rollins, the number one guy here. He's gonna be the number one guy. He's been the number one guy, so I'm aligning myself with him. A little bit after that, you have CM Punk's music hits. He's come to the ring. Seth Rollins kind of like pushes or moves back Paul Heyman. Him and CM Punk get into it. CM Punk does get the better of him, but then after that, he kind of comes back and then you got Seth Rollins give him the curb stomp. He's kind of laid out in the middle of the ring. After that scenario played out, you have Roman Reigns music hit, the Tribal Chief coming through, and he charges the ring. He does get the betterment of Seth Rollins there, Seth Rollins, and then he goes after to spear. He does a little woo ha, trying to go over there and get that spear. And out of nowhere, hooded figure comes through, takes Roman Reigns out. I had no idea who that individual was until he took off his sweater. Braun Breaker, guys. Braun Breaker is a Paul Heyman guy. He aligned himself with Seth freaking Rollins and Paul Heyman. What is this crazy alliance? Never saw this coming. This is out of the blue to me. It is completely out of the box. I already said that Seth aligning himself with Paul Heyman made a lot of sense. Had no ideas that Braun Breaker was even going to go that route. I am completely shocked. You see that, he Braun Breaker spears the shit out of Roman, runs around the entire ring, spears Roman through the barricade, and then he's yelling to Braun like, "Get him in the ring, get him in the ring." He curb stomps Punk first, then curb stomps Roman, and then the three of them just sitting there raising their hands. And again, both Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker are Paul Heyman guys. Guys, never expected Braun to join. Braun was a face for the longest time when he was holding the IC title. Maybe after he lost, they kind of like talked to him. Maybe we'll see something later on in a different episode, but did not expect Braun Breaker joining or aligning himself with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman guys. Great ending to Raw. Again, showed them standing strong over them. Totally insane, guys. Again, this is Jax from the Popcorn Review Podcast, and this was WrestleMania, the Raw after WrestleMania. Have a great one.